This is Real Human Beings, a podcast where we talk about the internet or science or whatever we feel like. Screw you. With your hosts, Pat and Will. Today's episode is episode 1, brought to you by the number 6 and 9. Today, we're going to be discussing an oldie but a goodie. There is a YouTube video I recently became familiar with called You Could Go to 5 or 6 Stores or Just One. It's a video of...
I know this one.
Oh, good. I think people need to be more aware of it because its status of popularity and its status as a meme have been dying. The video was posted to YouTube in the mid-2010s.
That was a dark time for all of us.
It was a very dark time. That was when Mountain Dew and dank memes were reaching their peak.
I think that was just about the time that I discovered internet culture. You know what I mean? Like before.
Yeah, I feel like that's about the time when it reached mainstream popularity.
Yeah.
Where was I? 2011 or no, 14. It was 2014. No, 2010. Wow, the internet really provides straight facts here. In the year of 2010, the video was uploaded to YouTube, forever introducing viewers to a wide variety of 1990s actors. But it's like 5 or 6 different actors and actresses, and they recite a script where they say, you could go to 5 or 6 stores, or you could stop at just one. Or is it you could stop at 5 or 6 stores or go to just one? One of those two. And then they say some improvised dialogue, or it appears to be improvised. I have no confirmation one way or the other whether or not they're told to say the random dialogue. And it can be anything. But after that, they just freeze and make a weird pose. It's very bizarre, and it is, in my opinion, one of the earliest examples of a cursed video. It constitutes being a cursed video because to constitute being quote-unquote cursed in the meme term, you need to identify who, what, where, when, why, and how. And if you cannot answer those 6 questions, it is cursed. I don't know who the people are. I don't know what this is. I don't know when it happened. I don't know why it's happening. I don't know how this even became a thing. And I'm missing one, but that's besides the point. This is a cursed video, an old meme, and it is glorious.
Right. I think the most striking thing about the video is the sort of like blatant lack of context, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to share some of my own background about this video. This was my introduction to the wonderful world of deep into YouTube.
Was it really?
Yeah, there was a point in time, probably about what you were saying, like 2014 or so, when it was these series of videos, these bad acting, like bad 90s acting, like tapes were obscure enough to be considered deep into YouTube. I think the threshold was like maybe 50,000 views. Like,
yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think it was 50,000 or less to constitute it.
Yeah. But I'm rather amused that it's reached like mainstream cult status, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, but it's good. It's the exposure is great, you know, unless you're a meme purist.
Let's just get into this. Okay.
Hi, my name is Carla Shaw. You can stop at 5 or 6 stores or just one. I don't need friends. They disappoint me.
Me too, Carla Shaw.
Hi, I'm Todd LaRue. You could stop at 5 or 6 stores or just one. I feel like a deer in the headlights of love.
He's so sweet, isn't he?
He seems like a nice guy.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming. You could stop at 5 or 6 stores, or just
what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah, she feels like the type of grandma who would like give her grandkids liquor.
Just one. Can I ask you kind of a weird question?
Why do you look like Discount Jodie Foster?
You could stop at 5 or 6 stores, or just one.
All right. So So what I said earlier was, why do I feel like all these people in this video I know? Like this woman,
Okay, it is.
this
Okay, wait, what?
this woman, I've seen this woman before, but why is that?
You've seen this woman before because both of us were born in the 90s and we were young children. So we would have seen people with similar hairdos, glasses, makeup, and fashion sense. And we're creating an amalgamation from the bottom of our subconsciouses, and it's rising to the surface from the very earliest parts of our childhoods. And we're seeing these people as vaguely familiar because they all remind us of what people dressed and looked like and acted like.
But it's not just how they, yeah, maybe it's more
Okay, but
but it's
yeah,
more like no, it's more like their like demeanor or something, you know? I don't know.
they're meaner. I don't think they're
No, their demeanor, you know? You know what I mean?
maybe. I don't know.
All right. All right, let's continue.
I am the queen of the universe. The waves part, and they engulf me, and the water is warm.
Or just one. I can see the Statue of Liberty from here.
I love this.
You could stop at 5 or 6 stores.
Okay, this woman right here.
Yeah.
I know this woman too. I swear to God.
I've never seen this woman before in my life.
No, I've seen like 10 of her before.
You know, she looks like kind of like Edna from The Incredibles, maybe.
Okay.
She looks like I don't know. She has like Lennon glasses going.
It's just the whole presentation, you know. It's the whole package.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, I'm gonna keep.
You know what? Now that you say it, but no. See, that's the thing though. Like, I feel like we could pull up a video of any people, and we could be like, oh yeah, that person reminds me of this or that or something, and we just might be misattributing it. But
True. All right.
but you know, now that you say it, and I look at the frame of the lady longer, maybe you're right. Or maybe I'm being
I
gaslit.
can't stand it when she touches me.
Wait, what?
People say that time
Can't stand. You could stop at 5 or 6 stores or just one. I can't stand it when she touches me.
people say that time heals all wounds.
All right. Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. Now I have one that's slightly more serious, less memeing, but this is nonetheless a story that I have held near and dear for quite some time. This is known as the GM streetcar conspiracy. Is this new to you?
The GM streetcar. This is new, except it sounds very slightly familiar, which says to me I encountered it probably at some point.
Right. So.
Oh, wait. Yes, I do know about this.
Okay. So this is an introduction into the sort of strange world of transportation conspiracies, which is something that I've sort of been following for some time. I may touch this topic in the future, but for now, I'm going to talk about the GM streetcar conspiracy. So the story begins with a simple question. It's who killed the electric streetcar? Was it a combination of social and economic forces and government policy, or was it a coordinated effort by private corporate power to seize control of Americans' transit systems? Okay, so here's some background on the conspiracy. So in the late 19th century, early 20th century, nearly every major city in the U.S. had a robust streetcar network, including New York City, Boston, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, even Buffalo and Rochester had a quite developed streetcar network. They were pretty popular from the start because they were much preferred over like traditional horse and carriage, because the roads were like they were stone, or they were cobblestone or granite, and also they didn't they did involve disposing of bodies of dead horses and horse shit and like diseases that all that brought. So they were quite popular.
So hold on. You're telling me that trolley cars do not poop?
Exactly. Yes. That's a subtlety.
This is new knowledge to me. Interesting.
So rails were cheaper. They were more sanitary, and they had a lower rolling resistance, which is sort of like power to weight ratio, meaning it takes less energy to move from point A to point B. And they're to this day, they're the most efficient way.
To this day,
they're the most efficient way of moving people and goods. So the problem with rail is that it was never profitable, right? They were owned by private companies, and they had to pay taxes and fees. They had to clear snow, and they often kept the fares at a fixed rate, and they were rather expensive to maintain. But they survived because they were tied to other industries, including real estate. Because properties near real estate lines were more valuable, and so that raised antitrust concerns. And as a matter of fact, this dilemma about streetcar rail monopolies is mentioned briefly in the film Citizen Kane. So in
I did not know that.
Yeah. So this has pretty deep ties to industry and pop culture in the United States of America, the place that we all know and love. So in 1923, this guy named John D. Hertz of Chicago. This is the same Hertz of
Hertz of Rent-A-Car?
Exactly, that's him. He founded a company.
Oh, I'm seeing a conspiracy.
Yeah, he founded the Yellow Coach Manufacturing Company, which made streetcars, but they also made motor coaches, which are basically early city buses, right? So John Hertz was a successful businessman, and he began buying other coach companies. He also bought a majority stock in New York Railways, which operated New York City's streetcar network. There was a point in time when New York City had a fairly large above-ground streetcar network, which he eventually bought. Okay, enter GM. So GM purchased a stake in Hertz's companies, and then later on, Hertz was appointed to their board of directors. Meanwhile, times were tough for electric rail. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, rail lines were struggling to remain profitable, and as I said before, they're expensive to maintain, and so the Great Depression added to their financial struggles. GM sort of took notice of the struggle of electric streetcars, and they founded a company called United Cities Motor Transport, which converted electric rail lines to buses in a number of small cities. They tried to convert the rail network in Portland, Oregon, but they failed, and they sort of abandoned the entire operation. But in 1935, New York Railways, which was owned by Hertz, converted to buses, and this is the first notable instance of a major rail network being transitioning from rail to bus. And also during this time, there was growing public distrust in transportation monopolies, especially since streetcar operators were often also electric utility companies. In other words, the same companies that distributed electricity were using it to power streetcars. So that, as you might imagine, would create a conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest.
That's right. So as a result, the government passed the Public Utility Holding Company Act of 1935, which essentially made it illegal for utility companies to own a stake in rail companies. On its face, the act was passed as an antitrust measure, but in effect, it hastened the financial decline of electric rail, forcing private rail companies to purchase electricity at a premium. Now, this is the origin of the conspiracy theory. So in 1936, a company called National City Lines, or NCL, worked with Hertz's Yellow Coach Manufacturing Company to raise money and purchase streetcar systems throughout the U.S. NCL was financially backed by Firestone, Standard Oil, GM, and other parties interested in eliminating electric rail. So basically a group of people involved in car manufacturing. You have Firestone making tires, Oil making the gas, GM making the cars. They banded together and they formed National City Lines, which was created for the expressed purpose of buying electric rails and converting them into buses. So between 1936 and 1950, NCL purchased 25 urban rail networks, including famously the one in Los Angeles. Soon a pattern developed. Within a few years, NCL-owned rail networks were dismantled and replaced by diesel buses, which were significantly less popular than electric rail. They were smelly, loud, uncomfortable, and were often behind schedule because they had to fight through traffic. The public hated them and responded by abandoning public transportation altogether in favor of cars. Okay, so in 1946, this guy named Edwin Quimby, which is,
Quimby.
in my opinion, it's dangerously close to Mayor Quimby from The Simpsons. Is there a connection? I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
This guy Quimby published a 24-page letter warning the public of a hostile takeover of rail systems by GM and other industry powers. Thus, the GM streetcar conspiracy was born. In 1949, the issue reached the Supreme Court. In U.S. versus National City Lines, a number of companies, including GM, were convicted of conspiring to monopolize the sale of buses to companies owned by NCL. Moving on to the late 40s and early 50s, the remaining streetcar systems in the U.S. were dismantled, scaled back, or replaced by buses, largely due to the efforts of NCL. Throughout the 50s and 60s, U.S. rapidly transitioned to car centrism. With the NCL acquittal, the theory that GM has conspired to dismantle electric rail had been put to rest until 1970, when Ralph Nader, a notable auto industry critic and a failed presidential candidate. I think he ran in like 96, 2000, 2004, or 2008.
I think he's ran for president pretty much every year since 1996.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he ran in 2016 too, in some degree, but I'm not sure of that. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, maybe he was Green Party, perhaps. I don't know.
No, he leans Republican.
Really?
Yeah, except more like not neocon Republican, but I'm not familiar enough with him to say anything else besides that.
Right. So the other notable thing about Ralph Nader is he famously got the government to mandate seatbelts. Right. His book called I forgot what the book is called, but he talked about basically how unsafe cars were, and he got a lot of important safety measures. He basically got the government to mandate safety devices in cars like airbags and seatbelts and stuff like that. Later, an attorney named Bradford Snell published a paper that accused GM of conspiring to remove rail in favor of the automobile. So, in 1974, there was a Senate antitrust hearing to investigate GM's role in the decline of streetcars. The 49 Quimby letter, the Nader study, and the Snell paper were all part of this antitrust Senate hearing. Now, GM responded by claiming that the transition from rail to bus and automobile was a result of changing public preferences, changing technology, cheap oil, which they somewhat coyly call abundant natural resources, and the ever dubious, quote, natural market forces, unquote. Natural market forces, lovely. So, the question is, Will, who killed the streetcar? Was it the Great Depression? Was it government subsidized road construction that made cars more attractive and made it hard for private tax-paying streetcar companies to compete? Was it the rising popularity of cars as a necessary means of transportation? Perhaps streetcars took too much time for the growing number of too much room, for the growing number of cars on the road. the question is, to what extent was the explosion of car ownership a natural phenomenon versus one that was encouraged by deliberate government policy?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I will add to that conspiracy because I believe it was deliberate.
You could be right.
Adding on to that, have you ever heard of the inner city real estate conspiracy?
No, I have not. Tell me.
Well, this conspiracy. Oh yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay. This conspiracy. The reason why you said earlier that cars exploded in popularity in the 50s and 60s was for a very specific reason, and that was because suburbia grew in its extent in America, and it became the primary living area of middle-class white Americans.
Sure.
And this occurred in conjunction with the decline of streetcars. And you're probably wondering, okay, makes sense if people had to, buy a car to drive half an hour from their suburban home to the city where they used to live, but where they still work. And essentially what happened was the auto industry, there's evidence that many players in the auto industry worked in conjunction with real estate agents to essentially have real estate agents in the 40s and 50s move African American families into predominantly white neighborhoods. And this would cause the real estate values at the time to rapidly plummet because, like they were racists and they wouldn't want to live there anymore. So essentially, all the white people after this happened would leave and they'd go buy a suburban home.
Sure.
So essentially, there's growing evidence suggesting that real estate agents, suburban developers, and members of the auto and oil industry work together to create a social and economic situation where white people would feel compelled to move from cities, again, where manufacturing and jobs would have been located, into suburbs so that they would be forced to buy cars. And look it up; it would happen. Like if it was the 19th.
So
what? Sorry.
So my response to that would be, I think this ties into the history of how the sort of urban-suburban divide was engineered by
Yes, it was.
sort of interested parties. I'm not so sure. Like, I haven't personally seen evidence that it was real estate agents who were deliberately moving black families into white neighborhoods.
No, I learned about this in one of my classes in
Really?
undergrad. Like, yeah, we read something. I can't even remember the source. I mean, I remember that it was kind of a biased source. So,
Right.
again, I'm wary about how accurate it is. And I read this like 3 years ago now, so I can't remember all the details, and I know I'm missing stuff. But,
Okay.
it was just presenting like notable evidence that,
Sure.
like a combination of backdoor dealings with various economic powers and underlying racial tensions in the country were played off of to increase profits for the auto industry.
Sure. No, I believe it. So, so on the note of streetcars, the GM streetcar conspiracy that I just elaborated on, it first came to my attention after I watched this documentary that came out in 1996 called Taken for a Ride. The documentary has been criticized pretty extensively for kind of ignoring, for being too conspiracy centric and making sort of baseless claims about GM's role in all this. Okay, do you want to hear my sort of personal opinion about the conspiracy?
Yeah, I'll take your 2 cents.
All right. So I think we can both agree that GM probably had a vested interest in seeing streetcars disappear, right? Like,
absolutely.
Like to the extent that it was almost essential for their business to be successful, to have streetcars disappear and make more room for cars. Now the question that I sort of ask myself is like, would the transition from rail to bus and then later cars, would that have occurred without some like forceful intervention by GM, or was GM simply capitalizing on the decline of streetcars that had already been going on long before they were even involved? Were they simply rising to meet the needs of a sort of sprawling population that was moving into the suburbs, that
What?
demanded new methods of transportation? So what I think is that GM is merely an opportunist in this story, right?
Yeah,
The
I agree with that because
yeah,
when you look at, oh, sorry.
no, I was gonna say that corporate. I think it's sort of a combination of corporate greed that was aided and abetted by government policy. Maybe some shifting social and economic conditions. People had more money. The middle class was rising, and they started to move into the suburbs. Maybe a combination of those two things is to blame for the decline of rail, and just public transportation in the U.S. in general, right? I mean, public transportation in the U.S. now it's bad. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like public transportation. Public transportation systems in the U.S. are what I would call like sort of quasi-public entities. They're like authorities and whatnot that are subsidized massively by the municipal governments to sort of keep fares low. They wouldn't be there. There's no way that mass transit would survive privately, right?
Probably not. But yeah, I don't think it would. And I think it is partly designed like that. I think it's designed so that driving a car is the more economic or efficient option if you can afford it.
Sure.
And do I think that we are destined to have a great public transportation system? I mean, maybe not. But do I think the United States' public transportation system ended up getting more screwed over than it could have been? I'll say absolutely to that. Because if you look at, Europe, they have cars, people drive places, but they still have cities that are far more pedestrian and public transportation friendly than you'll find in the U.S.
Sure.
And not every city, but, it feels like it was more organic and they're more accommodating to that instead of just having cities full of cars.
Sure. You know what, Will? You know what I think, Will? I think.
What do you think, Pat?
I think it's time to move on. What do you think?
Yeah, okay.
Lovely.
All right, so let's talk about the shopping cart dilemma.
Oh boy, I know this one.
Yes.
Dank memes.
This one's been floating around the internet for the past, month or two, 3 months?
I think.
Originally posted. Wait, what?
I think. Yeah, no. Sorry, I was gonna say I think it originated from a green text.
Yeah, it was a green text.
Okay.
But originally posted to 4chan in May, I believe. It discusses the morality of putting your shopping cart back when you're done at a store. And that is just one of the most interesting things. It's stupid. It's a stupid philosophical point, but it's also at the same time, you don't gain anything from it, but you're still expected to do it.
All right. So sort of the context that I'm familiar with the shopping cart dilemma is sort of the philosophical belief that people cannot be self-governing.
Yeah, it points out that there are some people in society who cannot be self-governing unless there are laws or penalties or other forms of punishments that exist to force or somehow motivate them to comply. And the example of a shopping cart return area in a parking lot is a perfect example of this. Because when you're done unloading your groceries or whatever other product you bought, at a grocery store, Walmart, or Target, or wherever you went, you can simply leave the cart in the parking lot and no one will come after you because it's not illegal. You're not forced to do it, and you're not made to return it one way or the other. And the point essentially argues that those who return it are capable of self-governing because they are able to, on their own motivation, return a shopping cart to a shopping cart return area.
All right. What about Aldi? Right. The way that Aldi works is you put in a quarter, and that like unlocks, your cart, and you shop, put the shit in your car, then you go back to the cart zone, I guess, and you put in and then you like log it back, and you get your quarter back. So the reward of bringing your cart back is that you get your 25-cent deposit back.
And that is not a form of self-governing, though. That is the store and the private property enacting its form of government onto people.
Exactly, and this what I love most about this meme is that it's been sort of weaponized. It's just a silly kind of frivolous thing that's been weaponized against the sort of libertarian crowd,
Yeah. Sir, you need to put your shopping cart back. Don't tread on me.
Exactly.
Or, what's the economic benefit for me if I do that? Or, hi, I'm Ben Shapiro. What if, hypothetically, I didn't put the shopping cart back?
Would I not get my quarter? No.
You don't get your quarter.
We should.
I want my quarter.
Yeah. We should be letting children bring the carts back. No. We should. Aldi should keep their cart quarter deposit thing, but they should employ children like under the age of 12 to work, without pay to bring the carts back and get quarters. So we would be Aldi could essentially keep 12-year-olds out of poverty by supplying them with quarters, and nobody has to bring their stupid cart back. These kids would be dying to bring back carts.
Yes, they should be dying to bring back carts. Most people who understand the dynamics of a parking lot should be dying to bring back carts. When I was 20, I worked for a summer as a cart bitch at a grocery store. People should bring back their carts. Anyways.
Well, you should know that I always do that, and I think of people like you out there in the rain. Okay. The next story. The next story is about a man named Marvin Heemeyer and his trusty killdozer.
Oh, I love this story. I love the killdozer.
This is a story about a guy who really hated municipal zoning codes. So in the year of 1992, this guy named Marvin Heemeyer of Granby, Colorado, he bought a piece of land where he built a muffler shop, right? He was kind of a handyman type. He was a welder, a mechanic, fixed people's cars, built shit in his garage. Later on, he sold part of that piece of land to a developer who turned it into a concrete plant. Marvin was not happy about this plan to develop part of his land, his former land, into a concrete plant. Why? Because apparently it blocked the view of his shop. So in 2001, the Granby Zoning Commission, they got together and they approved a plan to build this concrete plant that ostensibly blocked Marvin's shop. Marvin argued, he lost, And so for the next couple years, he spent a lot of time in his sort of home welding shop modifying a bulldozer. And in 2004, in June 2004, Marvin went on a rampage, destroying people in the town who he had beef with. The first of which was the town. A couple years prior, he had been fined like $2,500 for dumping his sewage on his land, and the town argued that it should have been dumped, or that it should have been dumped in a septic tank. I kind of picture him like dumping like his own shit in like a giant.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah, like every night he would just like shit in a bowl, and then like in the morning he was like, okay, cool, time to put it in my yard.
Yeah. So they find him, and he essentially destroyed the town with this modified killdozer, as it was later called. And at the end of his rampage, he killed himself with I believe a shotgun. I think he shot himself in the head with a shotgun. Now,
Jeez.
Now what he did was rather extreme, but to Marvin's credit, he did not hurt anybody except for himself. So that is Marvin Heemeyer and the Killdozer.
Wow. You know what? It's funny. Like online, you always encounter people, in like the comments of whatever site you're on. They're like, haha, I want to do this crazy thing. Burn it all. But then, Marvin, he was the one guy who actually was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a tank out of my bulldozer, and I'm gonna destroy everything that made me very angry. And he did.
Yeah, and from what I can tell,
that is truly a man fulfilling the American dream.
Yeah, and what I can sort of deduce from what I've seen on Marvin in the Killdozer is that he has become sort of he has been elevated to the cult to sort of cult status. I believe June 20 something whenever he went on this rampage is known as Killdozer Day, and he is sort of propped up as this kind of civil disobedient icon that every douchebag in America loves.
I bet Marvin was one of those guys who probably had like those like neon colored like plastic testicles hanging from his bulldozer. I feel like that's the kind of energy he gave off from what you've been saying.
Yeah.
Like douchebags like who drive pickups, not all like truck drivers, but there's like a specific subset of like guys who drive pickup trucks. And there are these products, if you look them up, that they're just like plastic, like balls. They're like these plastic like scrotum testicle nutsack things, and you can attach them to the
oh, okay.
What's the the trailer hitch of like the back of your pickup.
Yeah.
And like you see some of them, and I mean, if I had a truck, I wouldn't do that to a truck. I don't know why cars need balls. This isn't like a Cars 4 Lightning McQueen gets a vasectomy, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Marvin is an icon for those sort of people who have the balls dangling from the truck, who have the what's that one decal with like that little kid like pissing on things.
Yeah, Calvin pissing on something.
Yeah, just like Calvin,
Yeah, or the Punisher.
What's the Punisher? Oh, is it like the skull? No.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think that might not be the Punisher. I don't know. I've never seen the Punisher.
And the story, what it kind of reminds me of is there was this guy. Actually, this may be a topic for another podcast, but there was this guy. He was like a lawyer and an environmental activist who who basically doused himself with gasoline and lit himself on fire in Brooklyn because
Oh,
he was
like
he
the Buddhist monks during the Vietnam War.
yeah, and his sort of shtick was that humans hadn't, you know, done enough to address climate change. And before he died, he published a manifesto about these issues. And I'm not sure what
Huh.
kind of, I don't know, what kind of what exactly was going through this guy's head, or what kind of fanaticism would have caused somebody to do such a thing. He didn't hurt anybody besides himself, and he definitely got people thinking about this massive issue that we're all dealing with now, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way to bring attention, and maybe he believed that his life as he lived it and as he was capable of living it could no longer bring any further benefit um, to his cause, and he thought martyrdom was a better option.
Right.
But who knows? But you know what isn't as dead as that guy, but is going to be, because it's a meme and we're bringing it up on a podcast? Craig the Brute, the brand new meme from the Halo Infinite gameplay footage. Craig the Brute is a meme, a very dank meme, so dank that I don't actually think there's much potential to it. But essentially, what it is, it's a picture of an expressionless brute from the Halo series. And for those of you who don't know, brutes are like these half gorilla, half bear things who go apeshit on the player and try to kill them. And there's a frame where the people in the live stream are killing the brute, and Face the Brute gets up real close, and it's just this expressionless alien gorilla thing, and it's very comedic. He's getting killed, and the graphics are kind of mediocre for the Xbox. No, not Xbox One. What's the next new Xbox, Pat?
Xbox Series X, I think.
Yeah, and it's just funny because it shows expressionless, bland graphics for a next generation console. I've played Halo 5, and Halo 5 looks better than this gameplay footage. And, besides that, though, I'm not going to complain too much about the gameplay because, I mean, it was a live stream of a game in development, and it was just beta footage. But, man, this brute, the expressionless, vaguely pained look on this brute, it's hilarious.
Okay,
it's the next big
I'm
thing.
kind of laughing right now because
What, did you pull it up?
I pulled it up, and there's Craig the Brute is on the Joe Rogan podcast with
Wait,
headphones.
what was it? No.
No, like it's a crude edit of Craig the Brute.
Okay. I was gonna be really mad, but like you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
It just
I think so.
it looks so stupid. Oh wow, there's some Joker makeup.
What's this? Oh, God, what is this picture of like Mark Zuckerberg? Like a pale,
Wait, what?
like a gaunt, pale face. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you mean Mark Zuckerberg when he was allegedly had too much sunscreen on while he was paddleboarding or whatever?
I don't know. Is that what it is?
Yeah, no, that's what.
Shit.
Yeah, that's what they claim it is, but like it's weird. It's very weird.
Yeah. God. Oh. That's what that is.
That's what they say it is, but he's a robot.
It's so weird. Okay. I'm sorry. This is not relevant whatsoever. I interrupted your Craig.
No, this is very relevant.
By the way, you're an Xbox guy yourself.
Yes, I am. I'm an Xbox pleb.
So, what are your impressions about the new Xbox in general?
Well, my impressions of the new Xbox, I'm not that well versed with the hardware and the capabilities. Essentially, all I know is that I hope it's better than the X-Bone, and I've heard some people say it's essentially at this point just going to be a well-made gaming PC that they shove into a console skin,
I'll take
which,
it.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt that, but I mean, you know, like I'm not keeping myself that well informed about it. I plan on waiting till it gets released, hearing the reviews, seeing if it's good, and then if, I mean, I guess I'll have to buy it for Halo Infinite because I'm a simp for series that I'm loyal to. I'm a consumer, and I mean, no, if it's a garbage console, I won't buy it, and I'll wait until Microsoft apologizes, and you know, I'll get my free coronavirus vaccine with every Xbox next generation or whatever next box purchase.
That just reminded me of this stupid shit I saw on Twitter. It was like a tweet from Elon Musk. It was real. Like it wasn't one of those like poorly edited fake tweets.
Oh, really?
It said the rumors about me and Bill Gates being lovers are not true or something.
Is that?
Oh
Oh,
my God.
that's really the stage your society has reached.
Yeah. Elon Musk, man, on Twitter, he's that dude is out of control. He was like,
Yeah, you see the coup tweet where like he
yeah,
pretty
the
much
coup
just
tweet.
admitted that like billionaires in the government, like they're just like Bolivia, okay, yeah, let's their government's been stable for too long.
Yeah, yeah, we invade who we feel like. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know, dude. I thought it was funny, but I think Elon's a piece of shit, to be honest.
yeah. Yeah, I think Elon is an egomaniac, but like not like a Kanye egomaniac, more of like Kanye, he's like an egomaniac in the sense that it's all about him, but I think that I feel like Elon Musk is an egomaniac in the sense that all the stuff he creates is the best. Well, actually, no, I guess Kanye has that too with his music, but maybe Elon's just smarter and better at hiding it.
Okay,
I hope we get simps who give us thousands of dollars.
It's about to get steamy in here.
All right. Steamier than, well, my bathroom when the fan's broken. Oh no, I gotta clean my air conditioner filter. The light just started going off.
Sounds like a job for the future.
It does. It's not today Will's problem. It's tomorrow Will's problem.